Birmingham Sports
with Ben Ellis.
This is BHBN Radio.
So the breaking news on this Tuesday that Ryan Mason has been relieved of his duties as the head coach of West Bromwich Albion. His assistants and his staff have also been removed as well. And it's been a day of reflection and a day to look forward to what could be next. And joining me, Ben Ellis from the BHBN sports team, is resident West Bromwich Albion fan Jonathan Wimbush. How you doing, John?
Yeah, not too bad. All things considered.
All things
to be
considered,
honest,
yeah. It was 10 away defeats in a row, which, I mean, it's a results business. We all know that, and Ryan Mason knows that as much as anybody, of course. I just feel, having watched the game at Leicester, that if you're basing it on that game alone, it would be harsh. Because West Brom were the better team against Leicester. It looked like Leicester were the team whose fans were turning, and in terms of a toxic atmosphere. And I don't know if it was a jinx or whatever. I posted in the BHBN sports team's WhatsApp that I would say that West Brom are going to regret missing these chances that they were missing in the second half. But I didn't see Leicester winning the game because Leicester were that bad. But it still happened. And West Brom left the East Midlands with absolutely nothing. And then 12 hours later, the announcement that Ryan Mason has gone. First of all, your reaction to Ryan Mason leaving?
Well, I didn't actually hear about the news until just a few hours after it was announced. Obviously, I was in my day job when it happened. Didn't find out until I was on my break. And it wasn't surprising. Like Ed said in the breaking news short for BHBN, it wasn't really surprising. I mean, it's an away defeat run stretching back 99 years, and Ryan Mason and West Bromwich Albion have equalled that run. Not since the 1800s when the club was first, becoming professional, have they had a longer away run, but that's only 11 games, so we're still in danger of breaking that particular record as well since the club first began. But it wasn't at all surprising. A few members of this team actually gave him until the Norwich game later this month, and I simply responded with, might sound harsh, but I don't think he'll last that long. And sure enough, just 12 hours later, West Bromwich Albion sacked him.
Well, I was thinking about this this morning when the news was announced. You have to believe now that the finger was on the trigger going into the QPR game, the home game before, and there was a lot of trepidation amongst Albion fans about that game, yourself included. What happens if they go a goal down early at QPR? Yeah. Bearing in mind the away game at QPR was still fresh in their minds. It was recent, and it turns out they played well and they won the game and deserved to win the game. Similar performance to what they were putting in most of the way through at Leicester on Monday night. So they got a result. So now that he's gone, having lost this game, you do feel that they were getting ready to pull the trigger because and if they hadn't have got a positive result against QPR, it might have happened a lot sooner.
Yeah, absolutely. And out of all the away defeats we've had, we've lost to Coventry, we've lost to QPR, we've lost to Southampton, all at their grounds. This was probably the cruelest of the lot because, as you said, I wouldn't say we dominated the game. Of course, Leicester had their spells where they scored their first goal. Great take by Jordan Ayew. But then we managed to equalise with Karlan Grant and Abdul Fatawu. Apparently he only scores worldies like that, according to the Leicester fans. So it took a moment of magic. Unfortunately, on the wrong side of the fence for us. But I was also thinking maybe this has prolonged Marty Cifuentes' run at Leicester as well, because you could almost argue it's like the same situation where maybe Leicester's owners have their finger on the trigger, and I think it was put best by one of the West Bromwich Albion fans on a chat website during the game. Whoever loses this game will lose their job, and sure enough, unfortunately for West Bromwich Albion and Ryan Mason, it was West Brom that lost the game, and it was Ryan Mason that lost his job.
How much blame can be put at the feet of Ryan Mason? I mean, every manager or head coach knows what they're taking on when they take on a job. Of course, it's all about results, and you have to get results. But was he dealt a rough hand in terms of the squad that he had to work with? Now, we talked quite a few times over a number of years about how there were players within the squad at West Bromwich Albion who had been there too long, who needed to be moved on, who were still on Premier League wages. Now, at the start of this season, there were some quite dramatic sales because they had to get what money they could for some of the top players in the squad because of what's hanging over the head of the club financially, which is what Andrew Nestor has made a statement about in the last week or so. It should have happened naturally. It should have happened organically. It should have happened a lot smoother and over a longer time frame than what has
Yeah,
happened. I mean, if you look at the current playing staff at West Brom, you take out the likes of Brandon Thomas Asante, Tom Fellows, Darnell Furlong. I've mentioned three there. They're three starters for West
yeah.
Bromwich Albion. Now, yeah, going back a long time, and the likes of um, what's his name? Phillips. Not the Phillips is there now.
Uh, oh, Matty Phillips.
Matty
Matty
Phillips.
Phillips.
My
There you go.
apologies. Not an Albion
Yeah.
fan. Um, but players like that were around the club for a long time. Some of them on Premier League money from that one season that they had during the COVID year, and living off the parachute payments and going on and
Mm,
on. Were still at the club. They needed to be moved on a lot sooner than what they were. Wholesale changes. I mean, maybe that persuaded the likes of Carlos Corberán that it was time to move on. I mean, yeah, his home club Valencia came calling, but you think back to what he was getting out of the
yeah.
squad when they had those players. It was always going to be it was always going to be a difficult job for whoever took it, wasn't it?
Cool. Yeah, I think so. Because as you said, those players that you mentioned, Darnell Furlong, doing okay at Ipswich. Tom Fellows, okay at Southampton. Um, one player, well, a couple of players that you didn't mention there, Cedric Kipre and Dara O'Shea, also at Ipswich. And, they've been picking up a few results because the Ipswich back four, three of them, are former West Bromwich Albion players in Darnell Furlong, Dara O'Shea, and Cedric Kipre. Also, you tend to wonder if Carl Bartley didn't retire through injury, would he still be at the club? Would he still be captain of West Bromwich Albion? There's those sort of factors as well. And if Carl Bartley uh, wasn't retired, didn't have to retire, would we have Nat Phillips? Would we have Chris Mepham? To fill that role that Carl Bartley had to vacate. So it's like you said, we've gone years and years, me and you, talking about how stale the West Bromwich Albion squad got at times, and yeah, it's one of those, and also like with the previous ownership with Gouch and Lai, pretty much wrecking the finances of the club and all the action for Albion stuff that went on after that. Shillian Patel came into it and he had quite a few debts to pay off first, and maybe that's taken a hit on his current investment at the moment.
Yeah, it was announced by Andrew Nestor last week that during this transfer window, there are PSR issues with the club, which means they can't really buy any players during
Yeah,
January, but they will be able to come the summer. Now, I mean, it the question is your glass half empty or half full?
Mm.
Is this now a relegation battle for the rest of the season? Who can come in to steady the ship? I, I mean, yes, the manager has to take the blame, but and maybe as well, he should have to take the blame for not getting the level of performance out of some of the players. And I mean, I would say Isaac Price is one of those.
Yeah.
Compared with how he started the season anyway. But you mentioned the two centre halves, Nat Phillips, as well as Chris Mepham. These two have played in the Premier League, and
Yeah.
for them to be as porous at the back as they have been, and you keep changing the goalkeeper. You don't know who is your man between the sticks. Um, it, I mean, they started the season all right, but I looked at the Sky chart for both Leicester and West Brom actually in the build
Mm.
up to the game last night. It's quite an alarming drop down the table. So the question is, who's next for West Bromwich Albion? And I'm having a look at the betting as we're recording now. The current favourite for the job is the current England under 21 manager Lee Carsley, who has managed England at senior level in the Nations League as well. The gap between Gareth Southgate and Thomas Tuchel. Now,
Mm.
okay, he's the favourite to get the job. That's exciting. The problem is he's favourite at 4-1. Now, 4-1 is a big price to be a favourite in a manager market. Now, normally somebody knows something. There's a bit of inside information. There's a lot of whispers coming out of a club as to who the main man is that the club want to go and get. So to have your favourite at as big a price as 4-1, that tells me the bookies themselves don't really know who West Bromwich Albion have got their eyes on. And then it's 8-1, both Michael Carrick and James Morrison and Russell Martin as well. A return for Carlos Corberán, you can get 10-1 for that. And then we're into Michael Skubala and the likes of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as well. I mean, there's names there, John. There could be a name that we haven't mentioned, but who would you like to see in the dugout at West Bromwich Albion in the near future?
Well, there was a few more names that you haven't mentioned on the list that I've got. Obviously you've said Michael Carrick, Carlos Corberán returning. There's a couple of silly ones in my opinion. Um, Slavan Bilic, could he mount a possible return? Gary O'Neill, well, he managed Wolves, so wouldn't be a fan favourite, I can assure you. And Steven Gerrard.
Mm,
That's on the list here. The former Aston Villa and Rangers manager as well. But I think that might be pushing it a little. Um, but honestly, I mean, I would like to see Michael Carrick, but I've been hearing today that he might be in for the Manchester United interim job.
yeah.
Obviously being a former Manchester United player, him and Darren Fletcher as well, who's currently in charge of Manchester United after Ruben Amorim himself was sacked. So I would like to see Michael Carrick have a go because he did well for Middlesbrough with Middlesbrough for a number of seasons, just couldn't quite get them promoted. But I think it'll be a case of just trying to steady the ship for the rest of the season. We're currently 10 points off the playoffs. This is how tight the championship is at the moment. We're 10 points off the playoffs, but 7 points off the bottom three. So it's just a case of trying to keep our head above the water and not slipping into League One because if to be honest, if we do slip into League One, a few of my West Bromwich Albion supporting friends will want to try and break Birmingham City's League One record. And personally, I don't really want to take a season on easy mode, shall we say?
Mm. Okay, interesting. James Morrison has got caretaker charge, hasn't he,
Yeah,
for the upcoming. It's an FA Cup tie at Swansea this Sunday, and he's third, well, joint second in the betting, along with Michael Carrick and Russell Martin
yeah,
at 8-1. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he got it till the end of the season.
yeah,
I really
yeah.
wouldn't, because they can't do anything in January, and
No,
that's not going to entice somebody to come through the door with a lot of ideas to move forward. Possibly a lot of these names will say, "Well, let's see where you are in the summer and show me what you can do in
Yeah,
the transfer market." I wouldn't be a bit surprised if that's what happened. I'd be interested in if they could get Carlos Corberán back because I gather all is not
yeah,
well at Valencia, and I think a lot of Albion fans would welcome him back, but it's all speculation
yeah,
at this point.
absolutely.
I'm going to finish though with a question, and it's a wider question, and I'd be interested to get your thoughts on this with the sacking of Ryan Mason. Why do you think so many young British managers and head coaches are, not to put too fine a point on it, failing? We got Ryan Mason, Russell Martin,
Mm,
Will Still, Michael Carrick has had a go at Middlesbrough, did all right, but then faded away.
mm.
Long term, if we're trying to produce the next head coaches of the future, and generally the consensus is that we don't want to keep having to go to a foreign manager for the England job, then these young coaches have got to start coming through and have got to start producing the goods. But why do you think they're failing?
Well, I think the main building the stumbling block is what I mean to say. I think the major one of those is actually experience. To be honest, as you said, they're young coaches, young managers, probably just finished their playing career like Ryan Mason did, having played for Tottenham and been in the Tottenham back room before taking on the West Brom job. Obviously, players like Gareth Southgate, who formerly of Aston Villa was a Aston Villa player, did well at Middlesbrough as well. Not so well, really. Well, he did get England to two European finals. Let's not forget that. But obviously, didn't get England over that finishing line at the end. Um, it's one of those where it's experience that's the major problem for young managers. I mean,
Okay,
when yeah,
okay.
go
Let,
on,
let me
go
let
on.
me counter that. So why aren't the likes of the names that we've mentioned there? Why aren't they getting jobs in League One and League Two to get that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
experience
yeah.
to then go and manage in the Championship and even have a crack at the Premier League? So if we're saying that the likes of West Bromwich Albion, who this season, with all due respect, uh, mid to lower half of the Championship,
Mm,
why should that be too big a job for somebody who is young and enthusiastic and hungry to cut his teeth in management like Ryan Mason?
yeah, yeah.
We're not seeing these young lads being given the opportunity, even National League, maybe National League, League Two, bottom half of League One. They're not getting opportunities there either.
No, absolutely not. And it's one of those where, like you say, if the lower half of the championship is too big of a job, then of course, not even League One, drop down to League Two, National League, like the National League North and South as well, which is lower than the National League outright. Take a few years experience there, and it was one of those where I mean, take Aston Villa for example. Steven Gerrard, you know, he was looking for that Liverpool job after Jurgen Klopp, so he wanted to get right into a Premier League team to see what he could do. And unfortunately, obviously Unai Emery's managed to rescue that, and then some. But it was one of those where the ambitions of the person themselves, was probably set a little bit too high for what they were actually capable of, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So, FA Cup Sunday at Swansea. Just been to Swansea actually in a
Yeah.
previous away game. Then Middlesbrough at home on the Friday night, January 16th, and then home again against Norwich before they travel to the kryptonite team for West Bromwich Albion, which is Derby County on the 23rd of January. I would not be a bit surprised. In fact, they close out the month, final day of the month away at Portsmouth. So
Yeah.
I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if James Morrison, come the 1st of February, was still in charge.
Yeah,
I really wouldn't.
it really wouldn't surprise me as well, despite reports coming out of West Brom that they wanted someone in that job permanently before the Middlesbrough game, but I don't really see that happening, to be honest.
Well, we'll certainly keep you updated and keep you posted. There is our YouTube channel and our TikTok as well, bhbn.sports. So we've got more coverage coming this weekend as well with the FA Cup. And we got a window of opportunity for the transfer window hosted by Ed Mackay, and the Monday after, which reacts to all of the weekend's action. But this special program that we've done focusing on the departure of Ryan Mason from West Bromwich Albion. For Jonathan Wimbush, I'm Ben Ellis, and we'll see you soon.
Birmingham Sports
with Ben Ellis. This is BHBN Radio.